We are now at Chapter 10, Section 6, Video 4, Power Series for Sine and Cosine. We will look at cosine first. A student once asked me, if I know the measure of an angle, can I figure out the sine and cosine just from the measure of the angle? And the answer is yes, you can. If I know the measure of the angle, I can find the sine and cosine. But it's complicated. It's a power series. So let's take the cosine of pi over 3. Can I calculate that? Yes, I can, using the power series for cosine. In this case, that would be 1 minus pi over 3 is 1.047, so 1.047 squared over 2 factorial is 1 times 2, which is 2, plus 1.047 to the 4th power. 4 factorial is 1 times 2 times 3 times 4, which is 24, minus 1.047 to the 6th power divided by 6 factorial. 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5 times 6 is 720. And if we calculate that out, that comes to approximately 0.5001. Well, we know the cosine of pi over 3 is 0.5, or 1/2. So you can see that eventually, as you go to infinity, the value of the cosine of pi over 3 will be 1/2. So there I did. I figured out the cosine just by knowing the measure of the angle. Now we'll do the same thing, only now we'll do it for the sine power series. Well, the cosine uses the even powers. The sine uses the odd powers. So the sine of x equals the sum of -1 to the nth x to the 2n plus 1 over 2n plus 1 factorial. And that's equal to x minus x cubed over 3 factorial plus x to the 5th over 5 factorial minus x to the 7 over 7 factorial plus x to the 9th over 9 factorial. So we want to calculate the sine of pi. Well, we know the sine of pi is 0, but let's just see if this formula will get us in that direction. So this would be pi minus pi cubed over 3 factorials, 1 times 2 times 3, that's 6, plus pi to the 5th power over 5 factorial, 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5 is 120. Then we have minus pi to the 7th power over 7 factorial, which is 5040, plus pi to the 9th power over 9 factorial, which is 362,880. And when we calculate that, that comes out to 0.0069. You can see that's very small, and as you continue out, it gets smaller and smaller. So the sine and cosine power functions allow you to calculate the sine and cosine just from the angle measure. Here are the steps you need to follow. Number 1, angle measure in radians. Enter in formula. I give you the various factorial numbers in my examples so you don't have to recalculate those. And number 3, use a calculator to evaluate. Usually 5 terms out gives you pretty close to a number, close enough for practical applications.